Hi guys, this is Mr. Brown just laying here on my desk, pretending to be a dead body, because that's what we're going to talk about, dead bodies. If you were in ancient Egypt and you croak, you're dead, something has to be done with your body. See, the Egyptians believed that your body has a spirit that lives on when you die, but that spirit only goes to the afterlife if we preserve your body. So you're thinking about this your whole life. You want to know what's going to happen to my body when I die so that I can go on to the afterlife. If you're poor and you don't have any money, they do the bare minimum. They maybe put some embalming fluid in you, but they bury you naked. If you're middle class, you've got some money but not too much, you saved wrappings so your body can at least be wrapped up. You're not going to be buried naked. If you're rich, then they do the works. You get wrapped up, they make sure that your body's full of embalming fluid, and you get a nice gold face covering. So that's really where you want to be.
What's up, guys? Mr. Huffman here, chilling in my kitchen with my buddy Paxton.
Hey.
And we've been smoking meat. Oh yeah. While we let this meat rest before we pull it, we thought we'd talk to you for a moment about how they would remove your organs after you died. They had lots of special tools, things that look like tools we have today, like scissors and pliers. But my personal favorite was a long, skinny hook that they would jam up in your nose and scramble your brains and pull your brains out through your nose. They didn't think the brain was an important organ. All of the important things happened in a person's heart. Well, an interesting fact is there'd be 3-4 embalmers, and there would be one guy with the knife that would come in and do the cutting. He was called the slicer. And he would come in and he'd just cut along the left side of the body. But after he did that, he would run away because bloody work offends the gods. And the other embalmers would throw stones at him. And what do we know about throwing stones?
It's not nice to throw stones at people's faces.
For shizzle dizzle. So he would come back in and they would remove all of the organs because they were going to be embalmed separately from the body. Well, that's all for removing them. Now it's time for storing them.
Good afternoon, boys and girls. Today we are at McBride Farms. Right behind me you see the hayloft and the corn crib, and we're going to learn about storing the organs and getting ready for the mummification process. We're going to talk about the different intestines that were removed from your body and put in canopic jars. Unlike our little friend here on the ground that is somewhat already mummified, already going through the decomposing process. I believe it was a possum.
Hey guys, so you've been dead for about 40 days, but what's been happening with your body that whole time? Is it rotting? What's going on with it? Well, really, you're gonna get stuffed. Like Rhett just got stuffed with some apple and pea puree on his face. But you're not gonna get stuffed with anything like that. They're gonna stuff your body full of salt. Just like this, normal table salt like you probably have at home. The salt's gonna help dry everything out on the inside so that your skin is ready for the afterlife. They're gonna rub some perfume and oil so that you don't smell like a rotting body the whole time also. This is going to make sure that you are in top-notch shape for the afterlife.
The next segment we're going to read about is being bound for the tomb, literally being bound by bandages, and I have a volunteer right here. Liza, wave to everybody. She's going to volunteer to get wrapped in toilet paper. So I'm going to be taking step-by-step guide of how to get ready to be bound for the tomb and be wrapped and ready to go. Step was to wrap the head and the midsection. Then came the arms and the midsection. Almost done. Then you finally finished with the legs. And there's your mummy. And if you were lucky, they put gold on your toes and gold on your hands, because the wealthy always wanted to go out in style.
Hey, Mom.
She's coming out of her tomb. My mummy escaped, and this is her remains.
Hey guys, Mr. Huffman here. On top of my roof, with all the rain that's been coming, I thought I'd take a minute and, check my gutters, make sure they're clear so they can handle all that rain and my basement won't flood. Anyway, the view up here is spectacular. Anyway, I thought I'd take a minute here and talk to you about coffins. So, in ancient Egypt, if you were, when you died, what you would do is you would spend a ton of money on your coffin. Wood is really expensive because not a lot of wood grows in the desert. So they would import that wood from Lebanon. And you would want to make sure that since you're using such expensive materials, that you would hire a very good craftsman, somebody who knew what they were doing. You would also make sure that they would paint all the correct spells onto the coffin and lots of hieroglyphics talking about how awesome you are, okay? And another thing that you could do to make your coffin extraordinary is to hammer a thin sheet of gold over it so it looks like that it's solid gold, but really it's got just a tiny little bit on there. Anyway, from up here on my roof, adios amigos.
It's been 70 days since you died. Your body's been through a lot of different things. You were gutted, filled with salt, your pets were killed, and the same thing was done to them. Now the day is finally here. It's the day of your funeral. Here's your dead body. And we have our funeral procession to do. You hired these people to come to your funeral. They are paid to go over the top and cry very loud so that people think that you are a very important person and will be missed dearly.
Welcome back to the McBride house. We are now in my kitchen, and we are going to talk about what a mummy needs for the afterlife. So this is the perfect place to be in the kitchen because they had to have lots of food and lots of things. So you're going to get kind of a tour of my house as well and all the different things that you're going to need to take with you in your afterlife. For example, you needed lots of food. Some of the different things, you've got potato chips and Cheez-Its and more potato chips and some flour and sugar and candy, and I don't know what's on top of that. Apparently it's a dog. Ranch croutons, barbecue sauce, peanut butter, syrup. Actually, these are not the type of foods that you would have in the Egyptian tomb.
What's up, guys? This is Mr. Huffman. Some of you might know that I have a hot tub at my house, and that hot tub is built into my porch. Here. Now, if you have a hot tub, every once in a while you have to drain the water out of it. If you can imagine, taking a bath in the same water for many months could be disgusting. So you have to change that water. And I thought while I was down here, I would talk to you about tomb robbers. That's right, tomb robbers in ancient Egypt. Now the penalty for being caught during tomb robbing is impalement. Slow, torturous death. Something that most people would not want. But if a tomb robber was successful, he could come away very, very wealthy. So many of them thought that it was well worth the risks. Tomb robbers were looking for things like linen, because it took a long time to make linen, so that it is very, very, very valuable. Also, you could take glassware. Jewels were wrapped up in the mummies. You learned that in an earlier section. And things like frankincense and myrrh. You might have heard of those before. If a robber got away with all of those, he'd become a very wealthy person. So he usually took the risk. Well, anyway, guys, it's a little spooky down here, so I'm going to try to get this hot tub drained so I can get in it and relax. Adios.
So we've talked about some pretty weird stuff that happens when you die in ancient Egypt. We talked about how your body has all its organs removed, you get packed full of salt. This might be one of the weirder things though. This is Piper and Bentley. trying to get some treats right now. These are my 2 pets. If we were in ancient Egypt, if I die, I can take them with me. They'll mummify my pets so that I will have them in the afterlife also. And you might see the ribeye sitting behind me. Well, they believe that mummies might get hungry also. So you take some meat with you also, so that you have something to snack on while you're waiting to make the journey over into the afterlife. And you got your dogs to play with also.
What's up, guys? Back in the daylight, on top of my deck, waiting for the hot tub to drain. Thought I'd take a minute and talk to you what would happen to mummies centuries and centuries after being put to rest. Well, in the mid 1800s to late 1800s, it became very fashionable for people to travel to Egypt and bring back mummies. One of the most stylish things that you could do is that you would purchase the mummy, and then you would send out invitations and you would throw a party, an unwrapping party. And much like people opening gifts, they would unwrap the mummy, and it was a big to-do, and everybody would come, and well, it'd just be a big party. But the problem was, after you did that, you just don't want a corpse lying around your house. So, people would take the body and they could grind it up and put it into paint. Then it's like painting your house with corpses. Ugh. Another thing that they would do is they would take the linen that was around all those mummies, and you could sell it to a butcher, and the butcher would wrap meat in it. And they think a cholera outbreak might have happened from that because, well, that's not very sanitary. Something else that you could do is you could just grind the mummy up, or that mummy or animal mummies, and use it as fertilizer in the soil. And if you had nothing else you could do with it, you could just break it into pieces and burn it in your fireplace. Not a great way to spend eternity, if you ask me. Well, anyway, this thing's draining really slow, so I'll talk to you later.
Welcome back to the McBride Farm. I'm here with Hank. This is Hank. Say Hank. Say hi. This is our pet Hank. He loves his mama. Waylon might come up and greet us after a while. We're going to read another part about strange afterlives. Okay? And well-traveled mummies that have went around the world and have become famous, like my Hank, the little bull, and then Waylon. Yes, they're named after country music singers.